Welcome back, everyone. Nice to see you out here after lunch. I'm going to get started this afternoon by just talking about the field trip a little bit. If you guys would like to go on the field trip tomorrow, we're leaving here from the Wat Tung Yu, and then we're going to be going to Wat Umong and Wat Doi Satep. And this is an opportunity for you to learn through the architecture, the artwork, the symbolism of the temples, so that when you visit a temple, it can kind of come to life and kind of speak to you rather than just, oh, that's pretty, or that's interesting, or, whoa, look at that. You'll actually understand the meaning of the statues and the artwork and the various things that you experience when you walk into a temple. So if you'd like to go to this, you can meet here, same thing like we do each morning at 9 a.m. You or anybody else, if you run into anybody today that they would like to come, they don't have to have been here for the whole course to go on the tour. There probably will be people here that haven't been in the course that will join us. What I do is I start at 9 o'clock by just welcoming everyone, and then we do a meditation together like we normally do. And then after the meditation, I will kind of talk a little bit, explain to people that aren't here, what the tour is all about. And then I'll just take a count and see how many people are here. And then I'll organize transportation for us to go from here to Wat Umong, which is about 20 minutes outside the city. This is a forest temple where we'll be able to walk around and you'll be able to see what it's like to be at a forest temple, and I'll kind of explain to you what goes on there. Then we're going to travel from there up onto the mountain. We'll go to a restaurant. There's a restaurant I go to. It's a Hill Tribe restaurant that the people who own it are Hill Tribe people, and they have a really thick menu with lots of different stuff. So whether you eat meat or you're vegan or vegetarian or any other thing, they have coffee, smoothies, all kinds of stuff like this. They'll take very good care of us, and you'll be able to get some food there. Then we go up onto the mountain further onto Wat Doi Satep, which is a temple on the mountain, and then I tour you around there. And I teach you things that are the teachings of the Buddha and things that aren't the teachings of the Buddha, because you're going to be going into a temple environment where certain things aren't the actual teachings of the Buddha. And that's one of the ways to be able to learn what the teachings of the Buddha are, is to observe what the teachings of the Buddha aren't. So I'm going to be sharing that with you. And then we normally end up back here somewhere between 4:30 and 5, depending on how the day goes. But that's usually generally when we end up here, and depending on traffic and things like that, but somewhere between that time frame. So the way that it usually works is that the transportation will usually end up costing somewhere between 200 to 300 baht, because we all share it. Usually the students say like, oh, don't worry, David, we'll pay for you. You're just our tour guide. You're the one who's talking and teaching us, and I don't need to go to these places. I just go to them for you guys. So by the time you guys split the transportation costs, it's usually about 200 or 300 baht per person. And then, you'll probably pay for your lunch, another, 150, 200, 250 baht, depending on what you eat. And then the temples do have a little bit of an entrance fee. There's one temple that has a 20 baht entrance fee. The other one has a 30 baht entrance fee. So if you have, around 600 baht in your pocket, you should be more than fine, or a little bit more if you'd like. There's water and snacks along the way, so you don't have to bring a whole bunch of stuff. It's just a really nice day, spending time with other people and getting out into the sunshine and talking and spending time and getting to learn the teachings of the Buddha. It's kind of like a classroom without walls, right? We'll just kind of walk around and I'll teach you guys. So do you guys have any questions on the tour? Anything you guys would like to ask about? No? Okay. Well, if you guys would like to come, you're more than welcome, or anybody else that you're around would like to come, you're more than welcome. We're going to be leaving here probably around 9:45, but usually I recommend for students to get here around 8:45, because I'll start talking around 9, and then we'll probably be departing somewhere around 9:45, and then moving throughout our day from there. So the next thing I'll share with you guys is this topic here of integrating the teachings into your life, because from this point forward, you're now starting to kind of transition from learning all these things over the last 3.5 days to now perhaps deciding that you'd like to move these teachings into your day-to-day life. And this is oftentimes one of the big challenges that students have when they go to courses like this or retreats, is everything's going really wonderful, either in the retreat perhaps, but then when they go back out into the real world, they might kind of struggle and they need continuous and ongoing support. So I have this suggestions here for you, this guidance to help you understand how to integrate the teachings into your life. So it's really helpful if you attend weekly classes, either in person or online. As you guys guys heard earlier before lunch, I have the group learning program, the Polycanon English study group. All these courses and retreats that I teach, I live stream them from here. So you guys know I've been live streaming this course. I teach the same course every month. The first full week of every month, I teach this course. And then there's another course called Harmony in Relationships that sometimes students like to take that one. I teach it 4 times per year. And then there's another course called Experiencing the Jhanas and the 4 Stages of Enlightenment. I teach that twice a year. And then there's a retreat in January that is everything you need to get to the first stage of enlightenment. And then I teach a retreat in August, which is everything you need to get from the first stage of enlightenment to enlightenment itself. In these retreats, we start at 9 a.m. in the morning and we go all the way until 8:30 at night. And we take about a 6-hour break in the middle where we go out and do activities and hobbies and free time and stuff like this. So we're learning in the morning from like 9 to 12:30. Then we go out, have lunch, go do some different things. Some people go, some people don't, have free time, and then we get back together at 6:30, and then we go until 8:30. So these are the 2 retreats that I teach in January and August. So all these courses and programs, they all feed into those 2 retreats, which ultimately you'll be able to then gain all the wisdom you need to be able to make your way to the first stage and then beyond to actually enlightenment. So those are all options for you to attend here, but you can also attend online because I live stream these, and they're recorded as well. So you can even watch them if you can't attend live. You can watch the recordings. So you can even see the retreat that I taught in January, where it was everything that you need to get to the first stage of enlightenment. You can be watching that at any time, because now that you guys have this foundation, you can take any classes or courses or retreats that I teach. You'll be able to come right in. Any of the programs that I teach, you have a foundation now. You'll be able to learn in any situation, anywhere that I'm teaching. So if you attend in-person or online classes continuously, or kind of in-depth learning like courses and retreats on an as-needed basis, I would recommend for students to start with the first book that I share, which is Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. You can download it for free. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by just reimbursing us for a printing cost, or you can get it on Amazon. And I only recommend reading like 10 or 20 minutes a day, not more than that. Even if you're reading something and it's really interesting and you're like, oh, I just want to read more and more and more and more and more, this can be your craving potentially. So what you like to do is kind of just drip feed the teachings into the mind. So even though a particular chapter is maybe an hour and 15 minutes of reading, you would like to just do it in kind of small increments. It's kind of like if you took a big bite of pizza, it would be really hard to chew it and digest it. So what you like to do is just take a little bite and then kind of chew on it for a while, think about it, reflect on it over a 24-hour period, and then take in a little bit more. And then a little bit more, and a little bit more. It's kind of like, if you're going to make a really high quality coffee, you might have like a little drip of water going into those coffee grounds to make a really high quality coffee. And you just be patient and just take your time. So if you do this, where you just take 1 chapter a week, some of the chapters you can read in 15 minutes. A lot of them you can. I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 that are like an hour and 15 minutes to read it. But what you would like to do is just kind of get in the habit of reading just like 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, just little by little by little, and meditating, practicing your generosity, practicing your moral conduct. So just reading a little by little would be really helpful. And then developing your meditation practice of 2 or 3 times per day for 30 minutes or more, realizing that this can take 6 months, a year, or even 2 years to develop your meditation practice. You don't have to run out and right away be meditating for an extended period of time. Just gradually build it up little by little. If you've been attending here each day, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been gradually making the meditations longer and longer. So this morning when we meditated, it was a 30-minute meditation. So if this morning felt like, wow, I could have done more, or wow, that was just right, you're already at 30 minutes of meditation. If when we were meditating this morning, it was like, wow, this is like so much, I don't know if I can do this. Okay, well, do a little bit less on your own and gradually build up from there. So I've been gradually expanding it little by little. But oftentimes to get consistent with your meditation, it takes 6 months, a year, even 2 years to build up to this kind of frequency and consistency, because you're going to need to move certain things out of your life. There's certain things that you're doing that are probably unbeneficial. If you're spending a lot of time, like maybe 4, 5, 6 hours on social media or surfing YouTube or things like this, these could all be unbeneficial things. You could be doing other things that are unbeneficial, maybe certain addictions or certain cravings that you have. As you start eliminating those things, it'll free up time in your life to be able to do things like meditation and learning the teachings. Remember to practice generosity frequently. where you're practicing with the people around you, with your coworkers, with your boss, perhaps, with your neighbors, people like this. But when you're practicing generosity in a large group, remember that you need to practice equanimity. This isn't really something we talked about in this class, but I do in some of our other classes and courses and retreats. What equanimity is it means calmness and composure, especially in difficult situations. This is a quality of mind that you're cultivating. But there's another part of equanimity where you treat everybody fairly and everybody equally. The word equanimity, the root word is equal. So like say you had a place where you were working and there was 8 coworkers, and you brought in like a chocolate bar for like 2 of your coworkers. The others are going to get jealous because of their cravings. And you would like to be aware of this, because while you're practicing generosity, if you're not doing it with equanimity, then you can actually be causing difficulties. Of course, their mind is causing their own discontentedness, but they don't realize that, right? They have wrong view. They're thinking those painful feelings, those jealousy that they're experiencing, they think it's coming from you, and they might push you aside. So as you practice generosity, if it's one-on-one to a person, okay, but when you practice in like a work environment or something like this, you got to be sure you share with everybody, right? I had a teacher one time when I was growing up in 2nd grade that I would bring candy to school and I'd be chewing gum and she would have me spit it out. And she said, if you would like to chew gum in my class, you have to bring enough for everybody. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. So then eventually I went to the store and I bought a bunch of gum and I gave out gum to everybody. She was like, all right, yeah, you guys can chew gum. She was true to her word. She let us all chew gum. So this is a lesson that you can use, that, if you're just sitting there, with you and maybe your best friend at your workplace, and you've bought something from them or you've practiced some generosity with them, you're going to see your coworkers are going to get jealous, and you would like to practice generosity with everybody. And if you can't afford that, then don't do it, right? Or do it in smaller amounts. Or the other thing you can do, like say you work at a company that has 100 or 200 employees, you wouldn't be able to get a milkshake for 200 employees, right? That'd be a lot of money. So maybe say it's your birthday or something and you would like to bring in a cake. So maybe you bring like a big cake, you put it in the conference room, and you say, hey, everybody, at lunchtime, you can come eat some cake. I'm going to hand out some cake. You're welcome to come have some cake. That way they're choosing to either come or they're choosing not to come. It's their choice. But at least everybody's invited, right? So you've been able to invite the 100 or 200 coworkers, but it's their choice to not come. Whereas if say you showed up and you just gave a milkshake or a piece of cake to one of your best friends at work, now the others, because you gave it to them and that was your choice, you didn't invite the others. This is where their mind might attribute their painful feelings to you, and now you're going to have difficulties in your relationships. So practicing generosity needs to be equal. So if you're practicing with your children or your parents or something like this, you would like to be sure that, hey, if you're going to give mom something, give dad something too. Or if you're going to give brother and sister something, give the other brother and sister something too. This is going to help you to keep your relationships in harmony. Then as you need, you can seek guidance and you can seek help. I talked about this before, all the different ways that you can do that. You can ask questions in classes, you can post in the Facebook group, you can send me a private message, or you can schedule personal guidance. You're going to need help along the way. And this is the way to integrate the teachings into your life, that you're gradually dripping them into your mind through classes, through reading, through meditation, through practicing your generosity, and through seeking guidance with a teacher. And of course, you're practicing moral conduct because you're learning that. You're learning the teachings through this repetitive process, and now you're integrating more and more of them into your life. But if you weren't coming to the temple, if you weren't reading the book, if you weren't meditating, if you weren't practicing generosity, if you weren't seeking help as you need help, you wouldn't be able to integrate the teachings into your life. So this is a way to be sure you kind of build in some support as you move from this course and beyond. So any questions on this? Yep, you have a question?
So I'm wondering about the meditation. What am I striving for as I'm doing, or maybe striving's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
What's the goal you're trying to accomplish?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Could you clarify that, please?
What you would like to do is, of course, build up your frequency in your time, like 2 or 3 times for 30 minutes or more, gradually working to build that up. And then when you're focused on the breath during meditation, whenever the mind moves off, you'd like to notice it sooner and sooner. and you like to be able to more easily let go. So right now, if you're catching it like 2 minutes, 3 minutes down the road, okay, you would like to back that up and back that up and back that up to be able to notice as soon as the mind moves off the breath. Because even in the enlightened mind, you're going to experience the mind moving off the breath. So when it moves off the breath, notice it quicker and quicker and be able to let it go easier and easier. That's what you're working for. So there isn't anything else you need to set as a goal, because the mindfulness and awareness of mind is already built in. It's baked in. If you do what the meditation is teaching you, you will experience the mindfulness. You will experience the concentration, the focus. Those are the ultimate goals of the wholesome qualities you're trying to cultivate. And you can get to that if you just notice the thought sooner and sooner and let it go sooner and sooner. And the same thing with the unwholesome quality that you're eliminating, the craving, desire, attachment. That's the ultimate goal of your breathing mindfulness meditation, is to cultivate mindfulness and concentration and eliminate craving, desire, attachment. And the way that you do that is just sooner and sooner notice the thought, and easier let it go. And just realize it's a journey. There's going to be some days where your meditation is very peaceful, everything's quite calm, your mind's very still and quieted. And then there's other days where things are just going to be shaken up. And sometimes people get in the habit of judging their meditation, which I don't suggest you do. Like you might get to the end of your meditation and be like, that was a bad meditation, or that was a good meditation. This is you judging your meditations. Instead, don't look at it that way. I don't recommend you do that, because then you're going to feel great and good and have pleasant feelings based on the condition of I had a good meditation, and you're going to feel sad and miserable and guilty when you have a bad meditation, a so-called bad meditation. Instead, look at all meditation as being beneficial, because if you get to the end of your meditation and you're like, oh my goodness, my mind is really busy today, that's beneficial, because now any decisions that you were going to make that day that are very big and impactful, maybe you delay those decisions, or maybe you take your time in making those decisions and thinking them through more readily. So if you get to the end of your meditation and you're like, wow, my mind is really busy today, that's insightful. That's wisdom that you now have, and you can use that wisdom to help you. But if you get in this habit of it's a good meditation and a bad meditation, this is going to deflate you, and you're going to feel miserable when your mind's all shaken up. Because you can go periods of time where it can be 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks where everything's quite still and quite calm in your mind. You're like, oh my goodness, this kind of feels like enlightenment. And then all of a sudden, without any rhyme or reason that you're aware of, your meditation is just shaken up. And it can be that way for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And then just out of the blue, the next day you meditate and boom, your mind's still again. So if you get in this habit of judging your meditation, it's just one more craving. It's one more conditioned feeling. So you would like to let all that go and just realize every meditation is beneficial. Even 1 minute or 3 minutes, it's still beneficial. And of course, this is what you're building up to. But let's just say, like that example I gave you where I was meditating and my son walked in, and I was only meditating for 3 minutes, and he walked in, he was like, Dad, I need you to take me to school. That was still a beneficial meditation, even that 3 minutes, because I needed to let go of the meditation and go take him to school and ensure that my mind wasn't attached to meditation. And I could see that my mind wasn't attached to meditation because I wasn't angry. I wasn't frustrated or irritated when he did that. And he came in and asked me to take him to school. So that 3 minutes of meditation and then having to let it go, it was beneficial. So this is the way to ensure that you don't judge your meditation. Just look at all meditation as beneficial. But notice your thoughts sooner and sooner and let it go easier and easier. That's what you're working towards.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, it's a life journey. Do you ever do home improvement projects? Maybe not here, but maybe back in America. Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I enjoyed the result of it. Sure. Yeah. Okay. When I got in the mindfulness of it, when I got in the moment while I was doing it, yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah. So the way that I think about the path to enlightenment is it's like a home improvement project that never finishes. Because when I used to do home improvement projects in the past, when it was over, I still had craving, and I was like, what's the next project? What's the next project? Like I was felt a little bit sad that the project was over. But this is a home improvement project that never ends, right? You're improving your home, your mind, right? And you're just gradually working towards it, because even when you get to enlightenment, I encourage students to never convince yourself that you're enlightened. Because once you convince yourself you're enlightened, you won't be as dedicated and diligent. You might become complacent. You might lack motivation. You might even have ego arise. And if any of these things occur, you're not enlightened. If you become complacent, if you lack enthusiasm and vigor and alertness, if your ego is arising thinking that you're so enlightened, you're not enlightened yet. So instead, even when you know it's been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you haven't experienced any discontentedness, it's better to never consider yourself enlightened. Because what it took you to get to enlightenment is multiple years of learning, reflecting, practicing, and acquiring wisdom. Learning, reflecting, practicing, acquiring wisdom. Learning, reflecting, practicing, acquiring wisdom. So now if you've done that with a certain collection of teachings and it's led to this wonderful result of enlightenment where the mind's peaceful and joyful permanently, you're not going to just stop cultivating wisdom. You've enjoyed this journey. You're going to look at in the world, what else is there to cultivate wisdom about? Maybe you've always wanted to be a helicopter pilot and you never had the confidence to go do it because you didn't feel like your mind was clear enough. Well, by the time you get to enlightenment, your mind's functioning optimally. If you would like to go be a helicopter pilot, go be a helicopter pilot. In the path to enlightenment, you'll have deep wisdom about the path to enlightenment, but you won't know everything in the world. If you like to fly a helicopter or airplane or anything else, you like to go start a business or whatever it is, whatever your heart is interested in experiencing, whatever you're motivated to do, you'll be able to do that so much better with an enlightened mind. So having cultivated all that wisdom to solve the biggest problem you've ever encountered, which is your own discontent mind, now you're set up to be able to go learn anything and everything in the world because you've gone through multiple years of learning, reflecting, and practicing, and you see the results that it's produced, and you'll continue to learn and grow in many different ways. So I think of this as like a journey that never ends. There's no finish line that you cross and someone hands you a trophy or a certificate and says, hey, now you're enlightened. It's kind of like it's a long time journey that nobody's going to come out from behind a curtain and give you an award. The award is you get to live the rest of your life with this peace and joy in the mind. That's the reward, and that's plenty. You'll be plenty satisfied.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. I kind of had a feeling you would have a question.
I think you already said it kind of, but I want to hear it again. Yeah. Why is it difficult for people who, because you said, if you're enlightened, you know that you're enlightened.
Yeah.
Why is it difficult to say it? I mean, yeah, it's kind of craving, but you say that you know it, and you say that enlightened person don't lie. So why he don't say it?
An enlightened person, what?
Don't lie. Or so if somebody asks you, are you enlightened? Wouldn't it be good if you say yes, I'm enlightened?
So it's not that it's difficult for an individual to say that they're enlightened. It's just that there's no ego, there's no arrogance, there's no conceit, there's no benefit in telling somebody that you're enlightened. Because if somebody walked around claiming to everybody like, hey, by the way, I'm enlightened, hey, I'm enlightened, hey, I'm enlightened, hey, I'm enlightened, what are you craving? Why do you go around and tell everybody you're enlightened? You must be craving admiration. Because if you're enlightened, an enlightened being knows how to determine whether you're enlightened or not. An enlightened being already knows how to determine that. An unenlightened being, they don't know how to determine whether you're enlightened or not, unless they've developed their mind to the point where they understand that. So it would be unbeneficial to go around and tell everybody that you're enlightened because it's just you craving admiration. It's coming from your ego. And if you're going around bragging to people or boasting to people that you're enlightened, you're not enlightened. That's one of the best ways to know that you're not enlightened.
Yeah, of course. But if somebody asks you, then it's different, right? Because you're not going around and tell everybody that you're enlightened, but somebody asked you, hey, I would like to know if I want to take you as my teacher. Are you enlightened?
Yeah. Same thing. Like if you ask me, David, are you enlightened? If I said, yes, I am enlightened, you have no way to independently verify that because you don't have the wisdom. So what I would rather do, rather than say, yes, I'm enlightened, is say, let me teach you about enlightenment. Let me teach you about how to determine if someone's enlightened. And then when I teach you that, you won't have to ask me that question because then you'll know for yourself. So my interest is to help you cultivate wisdom rather than just give you an answer that you can't independently verify.
And another question. You mentioned a bit the mobile phone as an example. And for example, I have craving for watching YouTube a lot in the last weeks, months maybe. So my problem is not so much WhatsApp or so on. So I thought when I do my trip, I thought about taking maybe another phone which has not the capacity to watch movies or watch YouTube, just phone calls. What do you think about that? Or is it maybe better to keep the phone and try to discipline yourself to make it slower and slower down, put it down?
Okay. So first, I think you already know this, but I'll just share it just to be sure, and for everybody else too, is that the attachment or the craving isn't YouTube itself, right? It's not the app or the watching the movie. Even when you're enlightened, you'll watch YouTube videos. There's nothing wrong with YouTube videos. It's when the mind is craving it and longing for it. That's what the problem is, that once you pick it up, you can't put it back down, right? So when you're working on eliminating a craving, no matter whether it's YouTube or anything, what you would like to do is distance yourself from the object. The craving, desire, attachment isn't the object. So it's not the phone or it's not the YouTube. That's not the attachment. It's inside the mind. So you'd like to distance yourself from the object that the mind is craving. So what you were talking about at first, about taking a phone that doesn't have YouTube, you're going to need to probably do that for a period of time where a couple of months or however long you distance yourself from the object. And this allows the mind to let go. Right? And now if you think that your mind has let go of this attachment, now you can start integrating YouTube back into your life. But you need to learn how to pick it up and put it back down, and pick it up and put it back down. Because the problem is that once you pick it up, you can't put it back down, right? So what you do is after you've distanced your mind from it for a couple of months, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, up to you, you decide. Then when you start integrating it back into your life, you watch it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then you put it down. And you walk away from it, and you go away from it for a couple of hours, a couple of days, what have you. And then you pick it back up again. And now you watch it for maybe 5 minutes, and then you put it down. And then you go away for a couple of hours, couple of days, what have you. And then you do that. You keep doing that back and forth, and you start noticing that you have the ability to put it down. Because it's not the amount of time that you spend on something that determines whether you're attached to it or not. Like I spend a lot of time on Facebook. I'm live streaming all the time. I'm answering students' questions. I'm not attached to Facebook. There was a period of time where I went away from Facebook for like 3 years, and I didn't interact on Facebook at all. So when I integrated it back in, I just kind of slowly brought it back in the way that I'm describing to you now. So depending on how strong your attachment is and how long you would like to go away from something, there are certain things you can go away from, and then you can integrate back in. Now, cocaine, heroin, alcohol, those are things you have to go away from 100%, right? Like smoking, cigarettes, because these things are damaging, they're unwise decisions. But something like Facebook and YouTube and all these things, they're not harmful in their nature. It's that the mind is craving it. That's what's harmful. Or if somebody comments on your post and they're aggressive and hostile and bitter, maybe you get angry or frustrated about that. That's what you've got to eliminate, your cravings, so that now when you interact on a Facebook or YouTube, you don't have discontentedness. So this is how you do it. What you're describing is you distance yourself first, and then you slowly integrate it back in. And things that aren't causing harm, you can integrate back in. But something like caffeine or alcohol or drugs or other things like this, you wouldn't integrate back in because they're causing harm to either you or to other people. Yep. Okay. Looks like you guys have all your questions asked and answered up to this point. So now what I'm going to do is just share with you guys this activity that we typically do on the last day. It's not the last day, tomorrow's the last day, but the last day of being here together as a class is usually each afternoon I guide you guys in meditation. Usually I start chanting, we all chant together, I guide you and so forth and so on. But in terms of integrating these teachings into your life, you're going to need to start making the decision to do these things on your own. It can't be just the teacher is guiding you. You need to decide to start meditating. I don't know if you guys were meditating in the evenings at home because you were doing morning and afternoon here with me. If you got an evening one in, great, wonderful. If you didn't, that means your mind hasn't yet made the choice to start meditating on your own. So here in the afternoon, where I will typically start meditation, today what I'm doing is something different. It's up to you. And even those other days, it was up to you. You're the one who chose to meditate with me. I didn't force you to do it. I didn't control you to do it. You chose to do it. The only thing that you're required to do in life is die. That's it. Everything else is optional. So in order for you to get to enlightenment and integrate these teachings into your life, you're going to need to make these wise decisions that lead you towards developing your mind and cultivating your mind. So at the end of the course like this, what I do is I just leave it as an open time. It's up to you. You can do whatever you would like to do. You might decide you would like to do some breathing mindfulness meditation in the seated, lying, standing, or walking position. That might be something you decide to do. You might decide to ask some questions related to the path to enlightenment. Like maybe you have some questions you would like to come talk with me and chat with me privately or with other people or something like that. You can come do that if you like. You can practice generosity to develop merit. Sometimes people like to clean up the classroom because we've been here all week. They like to sweep or clean the bathroom or even clean outside in the hallway and at the tables and things like that. It's up to you. You don't have to do any of these things. You're not required to do any of these things. You can go home if you like. That's your choice, right? Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're sleepy. Maybe you like to go home. Maybe you'd like to do all three of these things. Maybe you'd like to meditate. Maybe you'd like to ask some questions. Maybe you'd like to practice some generosity too. Maybe you'd like to do all three. It's totally up to you. I'm here to support you. I'm going to hang out and do whatever it is that you guys would like me to help you with if you need help. But it's your choice. It's your life. It's your decisions and it's your results. So you choose whatever it is that you would like to do. And I'm here to support you and encourage you no matter what your choices are. So this is what we do in the afternoon is just completely leave it open to you guys to do whatever it is you like to do. And it doesn't have to be everybody doing exactly the same thing because all of you are individual people and you're all making your own unique individual decisions. You can make your own decisions as you like. So it doesn't have to be everybody doing exactly the same thing. But these are just some of the options. And there might be other options too of certain things that you can think about that you'd like to do this afternoon. But I'm just going to hang out until you guys decide that you're done and you're headed out. So let me know how I can help you. It's been wonderful to share the teachings with you guys and help you guys to learn. As you guys would like to learn, you're always welcome to learn more. So enjoy your afternoon. And if you're coming tomorrow morning, I'll see you tomorrow morning. If you would like me to help you with any of these things, if there's any questions remaining from the course that you still have in your mind you would like to talk about, feel free to come talk with me. Okay? So enjoy your afternoon and let me know how I can help. Okay? All right. You're welcome.